Maybe I'll start with Yelena. You said to me, well, when we were preparing for this panel, there are two key moments women face in their careers when they fall behind in their way to let's call it future of tech.
First of all, thank you for this great opportunity to brainstorm about, I personally think, it's very important topic. First of all, very important topic for the Balkans countries, but also worldwide, because generally we are losing, especially in the Balkans, demography potentials and capacity. And if we don't include on proper way whole community, we will even more lose during the time. And absolutely agree, I think that we have two critical moments that we should pay attention, and through different organizations in the region, we try to attract first girls in the period of elementary and high school to demystify IT industry, maths, physics, and to get them much more closer to these topics, in context that we have a lot of biases, that history, languages, geography is for girls, and something very complicated like math and physics and chemistry is for boys. Regarding that, I think that it is important to organize, let's say, some workshops to get them chance to participate actively in a meaningful way, actually, in this activity. And because, for example, in Microsoft, we have, luckily, we have a Microsoft Development Center in Belgrade. So this is pure programmers and IT-focused people. These days, this is something about 800. In the close future, it would be 1,000. So, and they recognize importance to attract more girls in their teams, because to have team leads and female team leads, because they find out that those teams are more effective and productive and more efficient in their daily work. Through that activity, we organize, let's say, a few times per year, some workshops for girls in elementary school, high schools, and after that targeting university. Because, and what we find out that girls who choose, for example, electrotechnical university, they demystified that part. But for example, when we spoke with girls in, for example, in the beginning of high school, and I asked them, so what kind of high school you will apply? In best case, they said gymnasium, but general, not, let's say, with focus on programming or IT or something close to, let's say, STEM. And I asked why? Because it is hard. What does it mean hard? Everything is hard. So if you try that, but because if they eliminate themselves at that stage, for example, 14, 15 years, for them it would be even more harder to apply for technical university. And regarding that, less chance to actively participate in IT industry. And this is, let's say, first momentum of, let's say, first clarification, verification process. For example, I have daughter, she is in elementary school, and okay, her parents are from IT industry, but in general, for example, I support her to apply in some coding camps or something like that, just to try it, just to see, is it complicated for her or not? And I think this part is very important, and luckily we have this kind of activity supported by UNDP, by our government and other institutions. And the second moment, I think it is in mid of career, when they finish university, start to work, and regarding this work-life balance. There's, let's say, biases and stereotype that woman first has to be mother, and woman has to care about family, which is, I think, some kind of traditional stereotype. And regarding that, with taking care about children should be responsibility of both parents. Another side, society should help even more. And this is, I think, second, let's say, big challenge that all women has to, let's say, try way to resolve. And the most important part for sure is family, core family, wider family, society, and this concept.
But it wasn't always like that. So when speaking of role of the women, we have actually fallen back, because if you look back to the 70s and the 80s, the picture was completely different if you were here.
I fully agree, because, for example, my mother, in period of when my mother was in my age and even younger, she finished university when she had 2 children. But social responsibility and government provide much better support to the core family. And another side, we had at that time completely different role models. And now, for example, again, coming back to the discussion with these young ladies, when we speak about all of these things, first question they are usually asking me, do you have husband and do you have children? Yeah. Because stereotype is if she is working, especially for international company, she is career-based and this is fully dedicated only for that, which is, I think, a question of decision. So it is okay to have husband or do not have husband, partner, whatever you want. But if you choose IT as your future occupation and your career path, you can count that even on Western Balkan, you can find good job, good compensation package that will give you freedom to live how do you want, not how some other designed for you. And regarding that, I think that in the past, unfortunately, we had better situation, because these days kindergarten working since 8 till 5. And even with helicopter, I'm not able to come to bring my children from kindergarten, because not 5 till 6, because formally I'm working by 5 or 5:30 or something like that, and practically it is impossible to taking care about children on a regular way. You need to always have someone who will support you. In the past, situation was completely different, and in the past was promoted that women should finish university, should take this, let's say, much more serious roles. We had completely different structure of economy, and regarding that, I think, and this is generally also our conclusion, that in Western Europe, some good things from this, let's say, socialist legacy, that women was very well educated, because that was promoted, because, for example, also my mother and my relatives in family, she was first generation of female university Finnish ladies, because why? My grandfather was supported by whole society to send his daughters to university to support education and other things, and with good education they have much better chance to actively participate on not IT, but some meaningful jobs and our economy in the end of the day.
Okay, great. Rami, from going beyond the Western Balkans and Adria region, do we see similar patterns of what Jelena just elaborated? Are you ever questioned about your marital or offspring status?
I mean, I think firstly, it's an honor to be on this fireside as a man. I think it's important, for also to share our experience. I think a few things. This topic is a problem across technology. I mean, if you think of all the big leading tech companies, how many women do you see at the top? I mean, all you see is the tech bros next to Donald Trump saying how great their stock price is going to be in 3 months. But this is a problem, because I mean, it starts at the top where you have no role models in this generation. And that makes it difficult, because when you look to the top, as anybody, whether I'm an Indian guy, okay, now it's a great time because all the Indians are taking over the top tech jobs. So I can see a path forward, but there are not very many leaders in technology that are women at the top level. And then if you look at even further down the chains, as Jelena said, it's that point where, yes, a lot of women are coming through at the kind of junior levels, and we're seeing more even within the deep tech side, the research side, engineering, and then all the way up to the kind of front office business and sales side. But then when it comes to that midlife point where you have to then decide about your family, there's a big unfair advantage that a man has, because you continue your progression, you continue that journey, and then a woman has to kind of stop and or recalibrate. And then when they come back, everything's changed, things are not set up. So I think we really need to think about that. There's no really good answer. But I think that the important part as well is the type of leadership we need as well. Because if we think about technology, we're shaping solutions not for men, but we're shaping them for the whole world and people. So we need not just gender diversity, but all types of ethnic diversity, cultural diversity, religious diversity, because the solutions that we're doing, particularly around AI, they're influencing decisions we make, but the biases are so strong. And this is something that it's the creators, it's the designers, it's the research people. We need to ensure that we have those people represented. And some people call it, oh, are you doing positive discrimination? No, I'm actually creating, a much more, a better set of data, a better set of creators around it. And I think that's not happening enough. I think one of the reasons I see is just that I see men a lot more confident in terms of they're more bullish in their nature, and they will take the risks. They'll put themselves forward, and they, even if they feel imposter syndrome sometimes around me, the men just kind of take that advantage. And I think a lot of women, they actually make better decisions. They actually are much better for a company, for culture. But because they're not willing to kind of take that risk or put themselves in front, like in that aggressive way, they don't make that forward. And I think these are things we have to take into consideration. In terms of the global situation, I think Spain is a really good country in terms of what we're seeing in the tech space, particularly in deep tech. You have a lot of women in the top research positions. If you look at Barcelona's supercomputing center, when you go to the different talks and conferences, women are actually leading a lot of the different segments of research. You look at the quantum computing companies, there's women CEOs in some of these organizations now, which are actually leading the charge. They've actually taken over from men as well. So I think Spain is, for me, in terms of the European context, a really good role model. But then again, Spain has, again, a much more kind of community-led culture. So I think the support systems are strong, the family systems are there. So I think that's one good example. And actually, I'm also spending a lot of time in Africa. And if you look at what's happening in Africa, women are actually leading in a lot of the businesses and technology sectors. And that's a cultural, you talked about the 70s and 80s. I mean, it's the same thing in Africa. A lot of women have actually been in leadership positions, or actually they are the breadwinners for many of the families and many of the communities. And in East Africa, we're seeing tech has been a great industry for them, because when you move out of the heavy industry, like the physical industries, and you now move into these service or these technology, they're really well suited to those leadership positions and growth. So I think we are seeing a lot of, globally you're seeing this movement, but it needs to be much more accelerated. And I just think that if we can put more role models at the top of these organizations, board level, executive management level, and then even at line manager levels, then it'll give a view to people that, look, I could be that person, let me strive for it. And then at 14 and 15, when you ask who do you want to be, you can actually look at a whole range of different industries, and you're not just focused on what people are pushing you into.
Perfect. You brought up a really good point about the positive discrimination. There's lots of misunderstanding about that. Can you demystify it a bit?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a bit of a taboo topic, because a lot of the time it feels artificial when you have quotas for people, and I think it's not a simple solution of how to do it. But I do think positive discrimination is needed. As I've lived in the UK for the last 10 years, and I'm an ethnic minority in the UK. Now, there are so many agencies supporting ethnic minority, getting into jobs, getting you opportunity. Do I feel as being given a chance of that feels great? And of course, it's fantastic, because I know that in certain situations, at points in time, you need that boost. So I think positive discrimination is a good thing, but it's obviously coupled to capability. And I think what people confuse sometimes is that you're not positively discriminating somebody that's less capable. You're actually giving people with equal or comparable capability a chance which they might not have got, because we have internal biases, and sometimes you're going to pick the person you feel most comfortable or similar to. So if it's your mate from the bar that you see every day, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna give him a promotion, that's an easy decision from a personal point of view. But if you look at it objectively and think, what does the organization need? What do we need for this to grow? What do we need for decision making? Maybe you'll think differently, and that's that positive discrimination there can make a big difference.
Perfect. Can I challenge you a little bit?
Yes.
On the flip side, you talked about the moral reasons. What are the business reasons? Because they are in the positive discrimination.
Yeah, I mean, business reasons, for example, if you're building AI models and your AI model is built by a bunch of dudes, I mean, that kind of model is going to represent their kind of view. If you're building technology which is user-based, for example, the UX of that device is going to be very different for a way a woman and a man does. And you can see it also in websites, designs, and sometimes, this is more of a feminine or a more neutral product. This is a more masculine product. And I think these things make a big difference because, we're looking at, you want to attract a whole audience of people into certain types of, into these different technologies. You've got to appeal to that. So you need to have, from a business perspective, access to different markets. I mean, I even go further. There was a big study done in the UK about engaging the Muslim community in East London into decisions about how to look at city management. And what was happening was the way they were looking at certain policies, they were not designed around the times of going to mosque, for example. And in this particular area, everyone went to mosque at 5 p.m. on Friday, and certain traffic flows and things were not working. They included them in that decision, positively discriminated, said, okay, you guys have to be in this, and the whole community got stronger. So you got to know, what are you targeting, and then how can that help? And then also it gives you diversity of thought.
Perfect. I'm speaking out to the camera, to everybody who's listening to this. Just listen to what he said. There is a clear business case for this. You brought up another crucial point, but I'll maybe flip it to Jelena, about women in certain cases being too cautious. I wouldn't say lacking confidence. I would say being too cautious because it's in our nature. We do our due diligence, makes us better equipped for some things, but breaking this, we call it glass ceiling, but also moving up the ladder, that is a big thing. Another big thing is the old boys club. And you know it all too well, maybe not in Microsoft, but you are in that community. How do you have some valuable advice to women breaking the old boys club?
Yeah, this is something that we are facing every day. And my lessons learned is to recognize who will support you, who will not support you. If you recognize that someone has some, let's say, biases regarding that, I will not change this person. I can focus on my goal and to work to realize that, and to find mentor, people who will support you. And another side, so mentoring is very important and very practical and useful thing, especially in this part of, let's say, career development. And I have to say that in most of cases, very good mentors I find in my male colleagues, because this is part of culture. And this part, I think, is very important, and role models for sure, and to build up, let's say, a women network, because I have to also say that some ladies could be much more challenging lady to show that as, let's say, no set advantage, and formally to support, but in reality, and I always ask this type of ladies, how many ladies you have on leadership position in your team, and how many ladies and females you help to go to change career path or something like that. And usually this is some generic and answer. So regarding that, I think role models, mentorship, and to build up network and to really help each other.
Yeah.
I just want to add on that, because I think a lot of there's a misconception. You said about caution and actually capability or confidence. I think I totally agree, because I think it's more the fact that you'll see a lot of men who are willing to take that risk, almost sell a story much bigger than it may be, and push the boundaries when some of it is absolute bullshit, to be honest. But they're willing to do that. And I think that this is important because the investor community as well pushes people to push that boundary. And when somebody comes to you with a realistic target and a really good story, which has got fully with good data points, a really good business case, because it's not big enough or exciting enough, people get pushed back. And I think a lot of sometimes, and it's not just women, but a lot of people who are more science focused or much more, analytical, they don't win in these situations because they seem too risk averse. Instead, it's the person who says, oh, I'm going to do this big thing. And you find a lot of, and again, it's just looking on my experience in the industry I'm in, men seem to really do well with in getting that investment, getting that buy-in. but then 3 years later, their business is in trouble, or their culture is completely broken, or they haven't been able to build the team because it's much more of an ego play. So I just think having those checks in place, and that's why when you have your investors coming in as well, they need to emphasize that when you're in at a startup level, can we have a woman in a leadership position, not as an HR or as your chief of sustainability, or soft roles in the sense that not, I mean, we know that there are 3 or 4 roles in that level that make decisions. We need one of them to be a woman to also give a different view on things. And then as you grow as an organization, ensure that that happens throughout.
Yeah, perfect. Can we get 5 more minutes? Can we get 5 more minutes for the questions? Do we have any questions? All clear. Okay, that's perfect. Then a warm round of applause to my exceptional speakers. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.